Hello everybody. Today I am scrapbooking this little photo of this young man. I believe it started out as a 4x6 with a lot of background, and I just cut the photo down. The photograph is from 2014, and other than a couple of photos from my nephew's wedding, this is the only other thing I haven't scrapbooked from 2014 yet. As you know, it's 2 years ago, so that's a good thing. But I want to get that album or those albums complete, or as complete as I can, because then I can kind of put them to bed and say, okay, I'm done, and I can get the albums arranged. I did arrange all the way through the beginning of September so that if I had any holes, I moved layouts so that there were no holes in the page protectors, because when I'm working through my albums, a lot of times I'll just put a page protector in and then deal with actually filling them in later at a later date, because as I'm scrapbooking, I don't scrapbook in chronological order, but I do store that way. As I'm scrapbooking, those things will fill themselves in eventually. So anyway, a long story. I have selected the Echo Park, both That's My Boy and Little Man collections. That's My Boy, I think, is 2 years old, and Little Man is about a year old now. That brown diagonal stripe background paper is from Echo Park Little Man, and it's called Cars. The red paper that I use there to mat the photo, and I put a wider mat on that because the photo is so small. That photo, the red paper, is from Little Man, and it's called Light Blue / Red, so there is light blue in the background. And then I found that blue symbol paper from Echo Park That's My Boy, Admit 1. It's like the fast forward and stop and play. And because this young man is really getting into, or was getting into, video games at that point in time, I thought it was important. So I found the perfect stickers from That's My Boy, and that's the Element sticker sheet. And I found like game controllers and that kind of thing, and it's perfect for him. And it's the little sticker there that says Genuine Boy. And they were getting lost on that very busy background. So I took some of the red that I had left over, and you can see the blue on the back side of that. I took some of that red that was left over, and I'm going to fussy cut a border around it. Now I will tell you, I was not being very patient with this, and I was turning my scissors way too much, so the border is actually pretty uneven. But you know what? No one else is going to really notice that except for me, so I'm just decided to leave it. I was being impatient when I made this layout the other day. I'm not quite sure why, but I just did. So anyway, it provides a really nice border and just sets those stickers off the layout, gives it another dimension to the page. While I'm doing that, I did find that border sticker there, and that's from That's My Boy Element stickers from that sheet. So I was really happy to use that up. I'm really trying to get these collections used up. There's, you know, like just a couple of stickers on each of those sticker sheets. So it's time to get them used up and out of my stash. And they're still pretty valuable, and I have grandsons, so I don't want to just toss them. Now I was trying to decide what to do to journal and what kind of card I could use, and I found this blue grid paper from the Little Man collection. It's the border strips paper, and it was perfect. And instead of cutting it apart to be lower, I decided to do a little bit of something different, and that's to leave it as a rectangle, and then just used it sort of as a mat behind the photo mat there. I did find that sticker there, and that again is from, I believe it's from the That's My Boy sticker sheet, if I remember correctly. It says Growing Like a Weed. I didn't write that one down, but I'm almost positive that's where that one is from. And I just put that little banner on the bottom of the photo. The photo is pretty dark, and I suppose I could have lightened it, but I didn't. So it kind of helps lighten that area up a little bit more, and just a little bit more emphasis to that photo, because you can see I have such a busy background paper, a really busy border, but that photo pops and jumps right off the page because it's on that red, and that red is the brightest thing That huge border of red is the brightest thing on the page. The other thing that I'm doing here is I'm taking my Tim Holtz Vintage Photo Distress ink there, and I'm just using that to emphasize the edges of that paper. I think that really helps pop that off the paper. And now I moved that little game controller to the left there instead of at the top of the photo. It felt too heavy on the top of the photo. And as I was just about to put the alphabet down, I saw this other sticker on the sticker sheet. It's this round bullseye, and I decided I would add that to that cluster as well, because right now there's only 2 elements and it didn't feel like enough to me, and I like the darkness of that bullseye. It draws your eye to that cluster even more now because it's a dark spot. There's dark on the top and then that dark on the bottom, and then you'll see in just a second I'm going to use a dark brown alphabet here, which again will help tie the top and the bottom of the layout together, because there'll be the dark brown paper on the top and then the dark brown alphabet. And frankly, I needed to use these alphabets. I don't know why I haven't been using them. They're from Jelly Bean Soup. They're the corrugated alpha, and this one is in bold brown, and it's a couple years old, and these letters are really easy to use. You just punch them out. I forget about them. I think that's part of the problem. So I think what I probably need to do is pull them out and put them on my desk, on the side of my desk where I keep things that I want to use up, and I'd probably use them a lot more. Part of this, I think the problem is they're not stored. They're stored more kind of in the paper section of my scrap room instead of with my letters, so I don't think about them as well. And my go-to letters tend to be thickers instead of other things. Even I have some Jelly Bean Soup, the new ones that they made, the bean board alphas that are chipboard and you have to put the glue on the back of them, and I forget to use those as well too, just because they're stored differently. So that is one thing that I would have to say to manufacturers is, you know, how we store letters is important. As a matter of fact, I still have old chipboard letters stored in plastic like hardware cases, like for screws and that kind of stuff, that are in a drawer that I haven't used in ages. And part of it is the out of sight, out of mind for me. Also, I'm lazy, and you know, then I don't have to put adhesive on the back of them. Although I put adhesive on the back of chipboard thickers all the time. So anyway, now you know my personal problems. So I'm just getting the stickers down here for this bottom cluster around his name, which is Aven. And I added some foam tape behind that genuine boy, because he went from being a little boy, most definitely a little boy, to like not a full-grown boy, but he went from liking little boy things to really being involved in gaming and being more rough and tough and playing football and that kind of a thing in what felt like a blink of an eye. And I missed that little boy stage of his life, the sweet, innocent little boy stage when he just, you know, wanted to hang around with me whenever I was visiting and that kind of thing. So this is just one of those sort of looking back, and I knew when I took this picture and saw the picture that that's how I wanted to journal about this. So that's been 2 years in the making, because this photograph is 2 years old. So anyway, that is one thing about when you don't scrapbook in chronological order, is that sometimes you have things that are a couple years old, and I really try as I go through my photographs to get some of that down. I need to look now through my photograph pile and see what things are still out there from 2015. I've showed you this before, but I date the back of my photographs so that I don't have to go back and find them, and then I also put possible titles or thoughts on them so that if I come back to it later, it takes me back to that moment. Now I basically have the layout done. I'm looking again at using some of these stickers up, trying to figure out if I could, you know, there's some smaller stars and banners and things like that, and I'm kind of playing around with using them. And I do put a couple on here, but really don't like them once I get them down. They just felt like they were extraneous, like I was trying too hard to get them on versus just actually putting them on. So I'll leave them on for a little bit, and then you'll see me take them off there. And I'm looking again, just kind of playing around with them. And I'm pulling off the small stickers on that sheet because they're hard to find. They're hard to see. So I think I have a bike and a plane and a couple of other little things left here. So soon I will be done with this sheet. And I can't quite cut it apart, but it's getting close. Thank goodness I have boys to scrap, or so many boys to scrap, because I've got lots of layouts left. All right, now that I've made that decision, it is time for me to actually journal here. And I have my American Crafts brown writing pen there. It's in a .05. Don't be fooled. I didn't buy this pen for a long time because the cap looks so light. The ink is really not light. It's really a dark brown. So if you ever see those journaling pens, don't be fooled by that. It's not as light as it looks. All right, I am just about done. I hope you are all well, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.